Hey guys, how you doing? I'm inside this week because why not? So I want to have a conversation with you. But first I want to tell you a story. So back when Kelly and I first met, she was my boss at the Royal Farms in Fenwick. And she thought that I was ditzy, I think. And so because she thought that I was ditzy, I was having a conversation with her doing something, I don't know. And I mentioned that something about a book that I had read. And she stopped right in her tracks and she looked at me surprised and she said, "You read?" And I kind of laughed a little bit because I remember thinking, how do you not know that I read? I love to read. And that had always been the case since I was in middle school or elementary school or something. I'd always loved to read. But something about that conversation made me realize a few things. It made me realize that everybody gets to see you in a different light. Your mom, your dad, your siblings, your coworkers, your spouse, everything. And all of them get to see you in a different light from each other, and all of them see you in a different light than who you really are to yourself, who you really are inside your mind. Now, I'm not saying that people don't know you. I'm saying that no one can know you like you know yourself. But it made me realize something else too. It made me realize that because it was so completely out of the realm of possibility in Kelly's mind at that time that I could possibly read, I wasn't showing up as my most authentic self. And don't get me wrong, it did not quite occur to me in that way at that time. But it made me want to show her who I really was, because something in me even back then must have realized that I wasn't showing up as myself in my everyday life. And therefore, my life was really built for a different person, a person who I was not, essentially. So I made it my mission to show her who I really was and succeeded. And I have, over the last 10 years since that occurred, spent a lot of time working towards becoming the person on the outside that I saw on the inside. And I have made some mistakes along the way. And, I think we all have. And I've gotten confused and lost about who I really am along the way, more than once. But all this to say that I think it's really important that we get a handle of who we are. And so I have a couple of activities I want you to do. And the first activity is this journal prompt. It's from Ace Metaphor, tonight's conversation, the card game. Same one as last week, the self-love deck. And it says, take a snapshot of your personality. Describe in vivid detail what you see. Now, I would love to see some of this in the comments, but if you just do it as a journal prompt, that's fine too. But what I want you to do is really write down an entire, maybe a whole page of your personality, because you know yourself better than any person in the world. Any person in the world. And you might have some contradictory traits. You might have some really negative traits. You might have some really positive traits. I want you to write them all down, because getting a really firm grip on who you are as a person, a really firm idea of who you are as a person, on that sheet of paper, gives us some clarity and some perspective that we never really get otherwise. Because once it's down on paper, you can ask yourself a few questions about it. The first question I want you to ask for anything that maybe seems really negative. You can ask it about positive ones too, and some of us should, but ask yourself why you believe that negative thing about yourself. And I want to give you another example of that because it was really, really cool. My sister-in-law, Heather, actually asked me a few weeks ago. I thought that I was not detail-oriented. And she asked me, what makes you think you're not detail-oriented? I hear you talk to people all day. And when you're home, why do you not think you're detail-oriented? You seem pretty detail-oriented to me in the questions that you ask. And then I questioned myself and I thought, I'm not sure why I think that I'm not detail-oriented. And honestly, the why doesn't matter. But when you hold that thought or that opinion of yourself up to the light, does it hold weight? Is there a reason that you hold that negative opinion of yourself? And if there isn't, then you can really just let it go. And if there is, maybe you can change that reason. Maybe you can change whatever that is about yourself, if that's something that you want to do. But this activity gives you the perspective to do that. Another really good thing to do, and do that about negative and positive qualities if you want to, do it about negative qualities if you want to, but I think it's really helpful, especially with negative qualities, especially with somebody who has trouble with their self-worth, self-care, self-love, whatever the case may be. Write those qualities down and ask yourself, for the negative ones, why you feel that way. Why do you think that about yourself? So thank you to Heather who brought that into my attention, a few weeks ago. But the next thing I want you to do is ask yourself this vivid detail of who you are, of your personality. How much of that is what other people see of you? Maybe one person sees this part of it and the next person sees that part of it. Maybe this person sees a really vulnerable part of you and this person sees a really strong part of you. And both of those things might be true, but how much of the total picture is what everybody sees, and how much in contrast with the picture that you've drawn of yourself is your life, is who you are to other people? Because looking back now, I can see that the person I was when me and Kelly had that conversation was a different person than who I really was. And I knew, something inside of me knew that the fact that it was so out of the realm of possibility that I read for her meant that I wasn't showing up as my most authentic self. And I spent the last 10 years figuring out how to do that. And still to this day, I struggle to do it. I think sometimes we do a little better when we're away. I know that I personally find it easier when I'm away from home to be more my authentic self, because we build up these expectations with other people of who we are, and sometimes they're just not true. Sometimes they were never true. Sometimes they were never real. And it's hard to change when everybody sees you as this thing, or other people see you as this thing. So I think doing this activity and really taking a good hard look at who you believe you are as a person, and then holding those qualities up to the light to see if they hold any weight. And then asking yourself, how authentically am I showing up as this person in the world? And what can I do to show up more authentically as this person? Because the thing is, you can know who you are all day long. You can know that you are loyal. You can know that you're hardworking and detail-oriented. And, spiritual, or a great person. And of course, my battery is dying. I don't know where that left off. But you can know all of the things about yourself that you want. You can know that you're loyal and loving and caring and empathetic and hardworking and detail-oriented and spiritual and creative. And you can know all of those things about yourself. But if you are showing up as a different person, or worse, just showing up as whoever you think that person wants you to be, then you're not creating the life for yourself. You're creating the life for the person you're showing up for, or showing up as. So you're going to end up living a life that you don't want. You're going to end up living a life that you created for someone else. We only get the one. So one more time, take an honest snapshot of your personality. Describe in vivid detail what you see. Let me know in the comments what you see. I want to know if it's something I see too. And if it's not, I hope it's something that I get to see soon. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next week.